Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another video. I have tons of sequins in my crafting stash. This is a very small portion, and I bought some new ones from Honeybee recently, and it really inspired me to create some shaker cards. So I'm going to start with this die. This is the Chunky Hearts panel from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to be cutting out of some white cardstock and making a shaker with multiple small windows. I'm going to show you how I did that and how I made sure that the sequins were shown in every single window, no matter when you view the card, whether it's shaking or not. So I'm cutting this down to be a little smaller than my A2 card. So I used my A2 layers dies from Waffle Flower to get the outer shape, and I cut the heart panel at the same time. I then trimmed down some window plastic or a transparency sheet to be just a little bit smaller than my heart panel. I'm using some Honeybee precision glue, and I'm putting glue on everything on this panel, including all the areas between the hearts. I then pressed down that window plastic. It's very, very clear. You can barely see it on camera, but I'm going to turn this over and you'll see how that window just goes right behind all of those cutout hearts. So you can see the shine and glare from that window plastic, or the acetate, I should say. So now that I have the clear plastic down, I'm now going to create the shaker elements. So I like to use lots of sequins in mine. So I need to do 2 layers of foam tape so that the sequins can still move around. So I just cut off a big long strip of foam tape and I fold it over on itself so that I have 2 foam tape thicknesses to work with. And I'm also going to trim this down into 3 very narrow strips since I don't have a whole lot of room around each one of these hearts. I'm using my scissors to cut the strips that go on the shaker area, and I just butt those up against each other and use my scissors to cut them so that they're the precise size. Super easy to do this when you're putting them edge to edge. You can slide your scissors right underneath at that edge and cut them. Then I have all these little itty bitty pieces that go in between. And I'm putting together all of these foam tapes like this because then the sequins that are inside each section, they can't travel very far. Now, if you were going to leave this entire area open in the center, you might have sequins falling completely to the bottom and you wouldn't see any of them behind the hearts on the top row. I mean, you'd have a little more movement and more sequins moving around, but you wouldn't have the sequins in every single heart at all times. And that's what I was going for here. So I'm going to put some sequins inside each one of these little wells, and I moved them around and tried to even them out. I don't want them too thick or too many in each one. And then I peeled off the backing tapes, and I'm going to take a separate piece of cardstock and put it right over the top, and that's going to sandwich all the sequins inside the shaker and make it so it's easy to work with. Ignore me using this inside of a MISTI. I was trying something out to see if I could get that completely centered on my cardstock here, but it turned out to be a little more difficult than I thought. So this method was kind of a fail. So then I proceeded with what I would have done anyway, which is just adhere some cardstock a little bit larger than the shaker, and then trim off the excess with a ruler and a craft knife. I then put some Tombow Extreme adhesive on the back and then press that down onto a card base. The only thing left to finish this card is a greeting. So I'm going to be using the Love Your Guts die set from CZ Design, and I cut out the shadow layer out of some navy cardstock. This is soft navy cardstock from Simon. And then I cut the actual words, I love your guts, or love your guts, out of some Neenah Solar White so it matches the rest of the elements on the card. I adhered the greeting together using some of that same precision glue from Honeybee, and then I used some tweezers to place that down onto the card front. Covers up one of those hearts completely, but not a huge deal. It was all part of the process. So this is my first shaker card. in this video. I love this one. It's so colorful. I love all those sequins. I'm going to move on and show you another card. And this is another shaker that I was thinking I wanted to create in the back of my mind. And I'm going to show you how I created this vellum full card shaker. I'm pretty sure I did it in a little bit more of a complicated way. There are easier ways to do this. I'm sure there's other videos on YouTube, but I thought, just out of authenticity, I would show you exactly how I made mine. So I started with a piece of vellum that was bigger than my card front. This white cardstock is 4¼ by 5½. I just placed it on top of that vellum piece that was slightly larger, and I cut away some of the corners. And I think in hindsight, I probably would have done the scoring first and then cut away the corners, but I just did a little backwards. So now I'm going to connect those corners that I cut out using a scoreboard and a Teflon bone folder. This is going to score the vellum and make it easier to fold so that I can have this vellum fold over all 4 sides of my card front and encase the sequins inside. So I did 2 more for the sides, having those come down and meet at the corner that I've already cut out. And then I started to fold them back, and they folded back really easily. I was very surprised. Creased them with my bone folder just to make sure I had a nice crisp edge. And this vellum did not crack at all. I was worried that the vellum might be too thick and that it would crack, but scoring it proved to be very effective and I didn't have any cracking. So I've got these 3 sides done, and I was planning to do that last side after I had all the sequins inside, but then I decided it would be smarter to go ahead and create that last flap as well. So I put my white cardstock inside, and just like I did before, I'm going to cut away the corners. Now, if I would have been thinking, I would have scored it first, but no problem. It worked out in the end. So I'm cutting off those corners, and from each edge, it just makes it easier to fold them over on the final kind of sealing in the sequins. Okay, so I'm going to fold this down after I've scored it, and then I'm going to start putting everything together. Now you want to use a really strong adhesive when you're folding over these flaps and adhering them to the back of the white cardstock. You want to make sure that you're not going to have any issues with it flying up. So I'm using the Celebration Flat Sequins Mix from Honeybee. These are so cute. I love all the colors. It just makes me think of a birthday. So it's aptly named as Celebration. I'm using some 1/8 inch score tape on my flaps. This is a super strong adhesive. It's great for interactive cards and other small little elements. And I'll peel up that backing sheet or the release paper and fold up that first flap. And underneath all the my white cardstock, remember there's all those sequins. So it's kind of bulging up a little bit. It's got a little bit of height on it because it's got those sequins underneath. So after I had the 3 flaps all finished, then I was able to fold over that 4th flap. And the white paper inside, it was cut to 4¼ but I think having it folded on that one side just made everything a little bit tight. But it folded over without a problem and it turned out great. You can see the sequins are still moving around inside. They kind of gather in the corners, which I think looks so great. And the only thing to do on this card is just to add a greeting. So I'm using the Perfect Pairings birthday die set from Concord and Ninth. I've cut that out of some holographic cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. At this point, I wanted a little more color on the card, so I decided I would cut out some really thin strips of colored cardstock. And I'm going to apply them or adhere them after I have the card kind of assembled together. So I first created my card base out of some Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock, and then I put adhesive on the back of my entire shaker panel and adhered that down to the card front. And that turned out even better than I had hoped. I then used that same precision glue from Honeybee and all of these really skinny strips of cardstock. These are all colors of cardstock from Hero Arts. So I'll list all the colors that I use below, but I really just wanted like a bright, fun assortment of colors. And I cut each of these strips very, very skinny. They're about 1/8 of an inch, but wasn't really precise when I cut them. I just wanted them to be really skinny. So I cut them down and adhered them in sort of a rainbow order. I've got the pink, the orange, the yellow, this kind of aqua shade, and then this purple. And after I had one of them adhered, then I just put the glue directly on the card front, and that worked out really well. As far as adhering my greeting, I decided I wanted a little more dimension on this card. So I grabbed some really thin foam strips from Darice and I applied them to the back of this greeting. And this greeting, the width of the letters is perfect for this adhesive. You can see it just fits perfectly and it doesn't show at all once you have it applied. So I cut it down to small little pieces, put the adhesive in strategic spots to make sure there wouldn't be any sagging areas, and then I press that down onto my card front. And that finishes this card. Look how cute and fun this is. Such a happy birthday card. It makes me think of one of those funfetti cakes with all of the sprinkles inside. That's what it reminds me of. I love that cake, so I'm all about this card. So here are my 2 shaker cards for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Someone in the comments of one of my live videos said, hey, we haven't seen shaker cards for a while. So I hope this, is enough shaker cards for you for a little bit. I really enjoyed making these. Thank you so much for joining me today for this video. I will be back tomorrow with some card kit inspiration from the latest card kit from Simon Says Stamp. So I hope you'll come back and check that out, even though it's on a Saturday. That'll be my 3rd video for the week. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.